Have you ever wondered why we tend to gravitate to certain types of adult relationships? People often joke, wow, I think I married my mother. No, I definitely married my father. Well, consequently, this is often quite true and can impact our life in more ways than we would ever have imagined. Here's why. People often don't realize how much their childhood impacts the type of intimate adult relationships that they gravitate towards. How we were treated as children and how our parents treated each other has a direct correlation with the types of intimate adult relationships that we gravitate towards. It is essential for us to understand the dynamics that we grew up in as children to be able to have healthy and satisfying adult intimate relationships. Unfortunately, if we perhaps had a toxic or unhealthy childhood, this can have an adverse effect on our life and the lives of our children because the dynamics that happen inside the home develop and repeat generation after generation after generation. I first became interested in generational patterns when I noticed that my mother treated me very similarly to how my grandmother treated her growing up. Lots of criticism, focus on physical appearance, performing for love, public approval. I wanted to understand, why was I gravitating to toxic, unhealthy adult intimate relationships? I wanted to end generational patterns. I wanted to be a cycle breaker. According to a Brown University article that references a book entitled Toxic Parents by a well-known psychologist, Susan Forward, she says that many parents who do not provide the emotional support for their children end up having children who cannot express their feelings and cannot ask for what their needs are. In addition, children of these types of environments growing up have significant low self-esteem and feel as though their needs are not important, thereby gravitating to unsatisfying adult relationships. Many of us don't see how our childhood impacts our life until we get a wake-up call. And typically this is when we have repeated patterns of unhealthy, toxic relationships that are typically tied to the role we played in childhood and how our parents treated us growing up. According to psychologist Lindsay Gibson, she says that people often repeat the childhood role self well into their adulthood because that role keeps them safe and makes them feel accepted. However, when the true self, the true authentic self, is tired of the role playing, adults often experience a wake-up call, which is typically unexpected emotional symptoms. The big question is, how do we unlearn this pattern? According to psychologist Jean Piaget, he observed that in order for people to learn anything new, the old needs to be broken down to welcome in the new. In addition, Kamiros Dabrowski, a Polish developmental psychologist, theorized that emotional breakdowns is not a sign of illness, but rather personal growth. He coined the term positive disintegration, which is when people break down, they have to reorganize themselves to become more complex, emotional human beings. In my pursuit of understanding generational patterns and to prove my theory, I conducted qualitative research with several adults that experienced different childhood experiences that correlated with their adult relationships. Take me, for example. I had wonderful parents who had wonderful relationship with themselves, but their relationship with me was challenging. Lots of criticism, lots of performance, lots of how to dress, public approval. Although I'm very grateful for the life they provided, the safe community they provided, and my education, the relationship with me had a significant negative impact on my intimate adult future relationships. Take Jessica, for example. She had a wonderful relationship with her parents, but the relationship between her two parents was toxic, fighting, unable to resolve conflict in front of the children. This gave her a negative perception of what a really healthy future adult relationship would look like. Every time she entered in a relationship and there was conflict, she would run away. let's talk about Jake. Jake did not have good cards. Not only did he have toxic relationship between his parents, but the parents fought constantly. Lots of abuse, lots of abandonment, lots of neglect. Not only did he not understand what unconditional love is or feel like, he didn't even have a role model relationship of what a healthy, loving relationship looks like. Finally, they're the lucky ones. Ben, for example. We all want to be like Ben. Ben had a loving relationship with his parents who accepted him for who he was, as well as able to see his parents in a loving relationship where they resolve conflict in a peaceful manner in front of the children. So he had a role model of a relationship to aspire to be. So taking all this information, incorporating my personal experience, the research involved with psychologists, and my qualitative research, I came up with 5 key steps to breaking generational patterns, and I would love to share them with you. Step number 1, identify the pattern. As we are engaged in different adult relationships, we may notice a pattern. How does that pattern link to our childhood, which is part of that process? Understand the correlation. Step 2, investigate. Do a little research. Ask questions in your family. Talk to aunts, uncles. If you can't communicate with your parents about this sensitive subject, talk to your grandparents. Instead of becoming the participant, become the researcher. Step 3, critical. Don't avoid the feelings. Feel. Once we get to this place of realization, we may start feeling anger towards our parents, sadness. We really need to process these feelings in order to get to a higher realization. Step 4, once we get to a place of peace, we have to protect it. Protect your peace. This involves eliminating people who maybe don't resonate with their newfound you, the newfound realization, and sometimes, quite honestly, we have to set new boundaries with family, new boundaries with friends, and it's very challenging because they might not accept those new boundaries. And finally, the most important, focus on self-love, self-healing, which involves reparenting ourselves and providing the love that we did not receive as children to ourselves. Walks in nature, spa baths, vacations by ourselves, buying ourselves flowers, taking care of ourself and providing the love for ourselves. Finally, in conclusion, this journey of mine, this research of mine has really brought me to a much higher level of understanding of seeing my parents as human beings with unresolved generational patterns and looking at them from a much higher perspective. Now, as a parent and having children of my own, I hope that this journey of mine and everything I've learned will provide my children with the future of healthy adult relationships so I can be there for them. I hope that this helped you, and I hope that you will end generational patterns and become a cycle breaker. Thank you.